We'd like to welcome each and every individual to Voices of Integrity podcast for and the whole topic of leadership. And this is interesting in giving it thought on, how should we start it? Um, engineered clarity is a process of thinking differently that brings satisfaction where you desire clarity in people, business, and life. I love what Oliver Wendell Holmes says. I would not give a fig for simplicity this side of complexity, but I would give my life for simplicity the other side of complexity. If that doesn't register with your brain immediately, where you're like, oh my goodness, that's amazing, that's brilliant, it's maybe, it's maybe because you've never done anything complex. Like you've never gone through and really struggled, work through something and said, how in the world am I going to figure this out? And you try it and it doesn't work, and try it again and it doesn't work, and try it again and it doesn't work, and over and over. And so this is the leadership one, I think, is going to be very, very special. You know, and so I think everybody's in leadership. Everybody should be in leadership. And the first thing you should be doing is leading yourself. Like that's the first thing you should be doing. And so, when you look at how to be a great team member, there's a there's a bunch of podcasts here. There's 10 to 15 minutes, and then you do a reflection. If you can't keep up, if you can't keep up with those, you got a lot of work to do as leadership. If you can't self-discipline yourself, how are you going to go ahead and help other people to do it? If when you mess up, you screw up, you make a mistake, you just don't think through something, and you don't on your own go in here and do this podcast, do a podcast on I struggle, you're struggling. If you can't see you're struggling, how are you going to see other people, right? Like, how are you going to do that? And so, this is introduction. There's going to be, a lot of very interesting things in leadership here. And so, first thing we're going to do is there's, let's say, four major types of leaders. And so, based on the four personality types, so the amiable leader is going to be often a manager. And so, what they do is they tend to tell people what people want to hear. So, they're going to be the nice manager. Everybody likes the amiable leader, the amiable manager. Because they tell them what they want to hear. They're not going to be harsh. They're not going to raise their voice. They're not going to be intense. They're going to say, please. The reason these can be the best leaders, best managers, best leaders is because they know how to manipulate people better than anybody. I mean, it's unbelievable how good they can manipulate people to get them to do things. And again, the key is what's the vision of the group, whichever group you're a leader of, what's the vision of that group? What's the mission, the goals? And if you can get people to do things on their own, people to do things on their own, everybody's happy, that's the best way to lead. So if you can lead like this and get things done, then for sure do it. Like you'll be the best leader in the world and amiable. In my experience, but it maybe it's just me, in my experience, it doesn't work. The amiable doesn't work. I'm not saying ever. I'm just saying, but maybe it just doesn't work for me. Maybe it does work for other people. Although in my experience, other people, they seem not to be able to get things done that need to be done in leadership. The second type of leadership, this is the lowest frequency. It's not bad. Low, high. This is the highest frequency. It's not good. High and low are not good. It's not good. This is not the worst leadership. This is the best. It's not that. It's low frequency. So it's like a radio wave. This is like a gamma ray. And so it's very important. Now, this type of a leader will tend to have a lot of arrogance. They'll think there's a right way to treat people. Really? Which way is that? Well, my way. Like, you shouldn't raise your voice. You shouldn't do that. Okay. And so they have a lot of self-righteousness, and they're really super stubborn, tenacious. And so again, It's not bad or good. It just is what it is. Every form of leadership has its strengths and weaknesses. And your form of leadership, if you don't know the strengths and weaknesses, you're going to struggle in leadership eventually. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Okay, the second level of form frequency is going to be the analytic. The analytic is going to go ahead and like have their act together. They're going to know this is what it is. They'll explain things well. They'll make sure that everything's right. And so you'll like this type of leadership. If you're an analytic, you can be very successful in leadership because you make sure everything's I's dotted, T's crossed, everything's organized and stuff. So that's good. The weakness that this type of leader has is they have a hard time seeing the big picture. So they have a hard time seeing the big picture. They see the details. They tend to have high ego. They don't like to be wrong, and they have enough data to make it look like they're right. And so this type, amiable, is probably the most competitive of the four leaders too, but they don't display it. They are. The expressive leader, that's a higher frequency than the analytic leader. It's moving into the assertive. This type of leader is a fun leader. Like this one, they can be the hardest of all four personalities, and somehow they get away with it. I mean, they are magical. This is like the Tom Kuntzes of the world or the Mike Baileys of the world. They can be hard on people and get away with it. And so they'll tend to use humor. They'll tend to be very direct, and they laugh, and people will say, you know, please hurt me again. So and so their weakness is they often miss details. They often miss pretty substantial details. They often can be a distraction. They're looking for fun rather than there's achieve a vision and a goal. There's a lot of things that you need to do that aren't fun, especially for the expressive personality. And so they'll have a hard time often with tasks. Now the driver leadership, that's going to be me, and that's a lot of what's interesting is a lot of leaders, especially of big companies, will be the driver personality. So they'll be the driver personality, and so their strength is they see the big picture, and they're willing to go ahead and drive things forward. These three will often care what other people think about them. The driver, not as much. And so they're not as susceptible to being distracted. Their downside is they can run people over, they can vaporize people. I mean, it's unbelievable. But if nobody else can get the job done, give it to the driver. But don't tie their hands and their feet. Don't do that kind of goofy stuff. Like nobody else could get it done. Nobody else could get it done. And so, give it to them and then let them do it. Nora, questions, thoughts, insights, anything you got?
Not really.
So,
Um,
sorry, go ahead.
I just said I don't think I have anything to add to it.
This type of personality will lead. Are we all ready? Are we sure? Like ready, aim, check, check, or ready, aim. Are we all ready? Are we all good? Ready, aim, fire is kind of the ideal. The analytic is ready, aim, check, 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 check. So they have a hard time pulling the trigger. The expressive will be, are we all ready? Fire and then aim. Where are we going? Doesn't matter as long as we're having fun. The driver will be fire and then aim and then say, oh, are we all ready to do? Again, each of them, the best leader is not any one of these four personalities. The best leader is the personality that understands their strengths and weaknesses and either has learned how to slide into the other personalities and fulfill those roles or get other people to fulfill those roles. So I think you're going to enjoy this a lot. I think it's going to be something that's going to be life changing for you and other people around you. And so, as a leader, I would get everybody to go through this that you're leading because everybody's a leader. And so always remember we can accomplish so much more together than we ever could on our own. Have an amazing day. Bye bye.